Welcome to the Salty Investors, episode 34. It is Friday, the 2nd of June, 2023. And how are you this week, Tim?
Brilliant. Yourself?
Brilliant. Jesus, I can't match that. I'm not doing too bad. Not too bad at all. Let's get straight into the salt because it's been a great week for our central bank governor. So, as you know, friend of the show, Phil Lowe's fronted a Senate Estimates Committee during the week, hot on the heels of the latest inflation number. And the key takeaway of the financially illiterate media was that Phil wants you to get a flatmate to share the rent costs. Now, Phil was just pointing out the obvious in a world where you have strong population growth driven by record immigration and a lack of housing supply. Kids don't move out of home, or you have more people per dwelling. The office becomes a third bedroom or whatever. And, once again, it just comes back to the fact that we have an immigration policy that the overwhelming majority of Australians disagree with, exacerbating a housing shortage. And quite frankly, none of that is Phil's fault, and I don't know why they keep asking him about it.
Poor Phil.
But imagine if he does raise interest rates next week. Oh, my God, they're going to be asking him everything. It's funny, isn't it, when they get someone in like that at Senate Estimates? I mean, they should just be reminded, like, this guy's job is basically interest rates go up, interest rates go down, interest rates go up, interest rate. That's all he does. That's all he does. And he can pontificate about everything else. But, I mean, immigration policy, housing supply, none of this is in his remit. But they keep asking him things like, aren't you exacerbating the inflation problem by putting rates up? So landlords put rents up and blah, and it's like, no, that, like, they were trying to say that this never-ending spiral, but that's not a never-ending spiral because that just can't go on. People can't afford $1,000 a week for a one-bedroom loft. You just can't do that. So something's got to give. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Maybe they want Phil to get out there with a hammer and start building a few houses.
Start building houses. Yeah.
Come on, Phil. What are you doing with your extra time, mate?
But I think the outrage on Twitter, which is, that's where you go to find out what the outrage is. Who's this guy on $1 million a year telling people that they need to get a flatmate? Which is not what he was saying at all. But it does. I mean, I was thinking about how Phil gets paid $1 million a year, and you just wonder, in a free market system, we believe that you get paid what you're worth, But I don't know. I don't know how you justify the Reserve Bank government. Is he getting paid what he's worth? I don't know. I mean,
there's no checks and balances there. There's no competing, Reserve Bank saying, we're going to do the job better, or, oh no, we're going to have a monopoly on money. I've got alternatives. I think that'd be great to have alternatives. But Well,
we just have the Taylor rule: inflation plus 2%.
Yep.
You don't need a Reserve Bank. Yeah. What's inflation? 7. Okay, interest rates are 9.
Yeah. Well, my one is just like follow the Fed. Just do exactly what the Fed does. Or just adopt Bitcoin. Doesn't have anybody running it. Everybody knows what the release schedule is. Everyone knows what the inflation schedule is. There's no mystery. You don't have to have a crystal ball. Everyone should be able to plan then. But yeah, I don't know. Each their own. But
well, that's enough about Phil. What have you got for us this week, Tim? What's your salt?
I decided to take the bus to work. Thought,
oh, you idiot!
A little bit of public transport in my life. But I forgot my bus card. So another 20-minute round trip, going all the way back home, get back on the bus and like sweating my ring out, because I'm running half the way, and get on the bus and then, on the way, and then see people get on the bus and they decide not to pay. And these people aren't like homeless or young kids or anything. These people have got proper jobs and working in, they have their uniform on, and they're just going, just walking on the bus and not paying. And I'm like, well, how does a public system like this work? Surely you got to pay, or it's got to be free. It's either a public service or it's got to be free. So, am I the sucker? That's what I want to know. Am I a sucker for just paying? I should just follow the same rules. So, I'm just not sure how all this works. Why do we have, systems where some people can pay and some people can't. Like, just doesn't seems a bit of a rort to me. But
I know. A loss of community value, a loss of community spirit. Maybe COVID had something to do with it. Just broke the back of community spirit. I don't know. Between the haves and the have-nots.
I keep getting told, everyone wants socialism. We're all put in a pot, and everybody, it's just like, then I see things like this and I think, nah, this is not going to work. Like, people are just in it for themselves. A whole heap of people here don't want to share and, put into the community. So, bit concerning.
Yeah. Oh, well, don't do that again. Don't take the pot.
Yeah. But my luck, they'll probably have someone who'll call me up on it next time. Like, I saw you. Yeah. Oh,
well. Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough of the salt. But this week, I just want to have a little look at the inflation data that came out in Australia because, Tim, you know what? It's not going down in a straight line, is it? It's sort of hanging around. So remember that this is annualized inflation. This is the 12 months to the end of April 2023. So a lot of this stuff is already sort of dropping out. But it is still hanging around that high sixes. It's 6.8. And I just thought that this is probably so this is up. Rents are up 6% annually, and they are forecasting them to keep going up 10%, which is the worst since 1989. It will be the worst since 1989. So over 30 years. What was interesting, I think, is the breakdown. I don't know how easily people can see that, but I just wanted to point out that that chart if you see the chart on the left, you have a look at something like food and non-alcoholic beverages. Was up 8% 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, at the end of February. It was up 8.1, then 7.9. So it doesn't look like it's coming down. But if you have a look at the monthly change over there on the right-hand side, food and non-alcoholic beverages is barely up. I mean, it's pretty much flat in the last month. So I think people can rest assured that prices of fruit and veggies actually went backwards in the month. So that kind of stuff is probably not going up much. It's probably that bit's over. But that rent portion, which accounts for about, I think it's only 6% of the overall CPI.
That sounds low, doesn't it?
It does, but those things. Electricity prices was another one. I mean, you can see electricity prices there annually are up 15%, and they're probably not going down anytime soon. I don't know, this holiday and travel accommodation. I don't know. Are we having a tourism boom or something? I don't know. That's flying off the handle. That's double digits. And yeah, new dwelling purchases. So home prices on the road. Just when it looked like we might actually get home prices in the affordable range again, no, they're off to the races. And of course, that's only going to get worse as we flood the country with more people. So
So if you look at you look month over month, it's about 3.6 to 3.8%. That's what we should. But that's still not in the 2 to 3% target range, unless they change that and go, up to 2 to 3%, is fine. But I doubt Phil sounds pretty strong that he wants 2 to 3. So so even at the current levels, I don't know. What do you think? Is he gonna hike or?
Well, I guess that's the $1 million question, isn't it? So pretty much the market was pretty much no, there's not going to be any change. It's only the last couple of days with the inflation data, and Phil's sort of his public comments. Look, we're not done yet. We're not declaring victory. Which not to mean that he's going to raise rates again, but so the market has given it about a 1 in 5 chance that they'll raise next week. I have no idea. You mean flip a coin? I mean, I would err on the say of probably not. He's got time to wait. Why not? He's not going to get any. I don't think he's going to get any flack for not raising rates at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here we are. I mean, we're going into the June meeting, so we're halfway through the year basically, and we're still. I mean, are we on a? We're not really on a hiking trajectory, but we're certainly not on a cutting trajectory yet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
how many economic forecasters was saying this year we'd be cutting mid-year,
Oh, yeah.
And just no. So
You can't even see it at the end of the year. I can't, like
yeah,
this course is just got to stay. And I
yeah,
think even if he just holds here, we're only 385, aren't we? So
yeah. We're
so
not
we're not
even
even,
in the fours yet.
yep.
Yeah,
So it's not high, but it's decent. But so I think if he holds here, I think you know he's got a chance he might get through it. That's what I keep thinking. Maybe he will do the miracle here, but we'll have to wait and see.
yeah. Yeah, so that's $1 million question, but I mean, either way, the structural problems are there either way. I mean, Labor's committed to this flooding the country with immigrants and students, and so none of this gets resolved in lower inflation in housing accommodation, all this sort of stuff, electricity prices. That's not coming down. The problem's still there. No one really wants to address it, which is weird because, as we did a podcast months ago where I pulled out that recent survey where I think a good 2/3 of Australians are against the current immigration policy, but we just keep ignoring it. Yeah.
Well, Labor building 6,000 homes, ain't gonna,
No.
with their future fund, ain't gonna put a dent in this at all. So
No, it's
know.
a drop in the bucket. I mean, that's probably the only thing the Greens are right about in terms of. I mean, they say if you're in on social housing, the Greens are right. I mean, build more then. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't just screw around. I mean, build more houses, but
need 150, 200,000 houses. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Seems a bit crazy, but
yeah. All right, so that's enough of that inflation talk. What are we looking at this week? Waters Corp.
Yeah, so this is another Terry Smith type thing. It's down, 25% or whatever. Terry's down nearly 15% on this.
Right, on his initial purchase.
Yeah. So, this is one of the things I'm starting to think now, like, oh yeah, Terry does a lot of work. He's not an idiot. When something he owns and you can sort of understand it, and it's down, you should be really probably having a look. So Waters is like a really boring company. Like, they create lab equipment that looks at liquid chromatography, and you think, oh yeah, what's so special about that? Well, you're not going to buy Chinese equipment to do this, okay? That's just not going to happen in the next 10 years. And also, their biggest market here is in pharmaceuticals, a little bit in drug discovery, but the big thing I think that Terry likes is the quality control thing. Like, he keeps thinking going forward, we need to keep control of our supply chains. We may import from cheaper countries, drugs and everything, like generics and whatever, but we want to make sure the drugs are what they say they are. And this is what this company does quality control. And I think in 10 years' time, we're still going to be going down this path of maybe getting drugs made in India or whatever and just importing them into Australia. And but we want to make sure the drugs are what they say they are. And they do liquid chromatography to check all this stuff.
Right.
At the moment, they've spent 1.6 billion acquiring another company, which is like obviously scared people, including Terry. He'd be a bit, he doesn't like people acquiring stuff. Just wants them to print money and send him a check, So, so that would scare Terry a little bit. But I think it's a good acquisition. It's in the same area. It's just in a slightly different segment. You look up these people who make these equipment, the high value type equipment. There's only like 2 or 3 players in each of these areas. Like, it's oligopoly type areas here. And you can see from the share buybacks, like, you can see what, like, from 80 to 60.
So are those numbers? Is the acquisition you talked about recent, so it wouldn't be reflected in these numbers, or?
They actually purchased it with cash, so
wow,
1.36 billion. a cash offer. So you can tell that these guys are like,
So they didn't no issue of stock, nothing.
No issue of stock, but yeah, they chucked a whole heap of debt on the balance sheet, obviously,
Okay.
So, but that shows you're a quality company. Heck, who can go out and grab 1.36 billion, unless you know what you're doing. Yeah.
So surely the earnings numbers are going to get a boost post this acquisition, yeah?
Yeah. Revenue is going to go, pretty much up. It's going to continue to climb up. So yeah, so you look at the numbers here, like just return on invested capitals, you're in the 30s. Like, is there a better company you've seen than that? Gross margins nearly 60. Your operating margins mid-20s. Like, these guys know what they're doing. Like, and it's not expensive. Like, there's you 4% free cash flow yield here of 25. It does get a little bit cheaper. It could get around to 20, so it could drop a little bit more. But you're buying quality here. Show me another company that's got a return on invested capital in the mid-30s. Like, this is top shelf type stuff. No dividends, so all that return on invested capital is all going back into the business. So
they're generating about 600 mil in cash. So does the debt? Where's the debt?
Right down the bottom. 1.1 billion. So
total debt, net debt 1. That's post acquisition, or is there more to throw on top of that?
I think it might throw on top of that. So it's going to look a little bit more ugly. But yeah, it's still, you can 4 years worth of, and you're going to be getting more cash flow from this acquisition as well. So it's probably 3 years worth of free cash flow. And you can see then the operating cash flows dropped a little bit, but that's just normal things. It's like accounts receivable gone up, and the inventory's gone up. That's all good stuff, You start investing in inventory, and your accounts receivable goes up a bit. I can handle that type of problem, but so the debt isn't totally crazy, but you can see why people are going off it a little bit. When you're chucking 1.3 billion.
Yeah, there's a little bit of uncertainty around the acquisition. Is it worth it? And it's a wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the market's attitude. It's a wait and see. Does it produce the goods or not?
Yep.
Yeah.
If you go over to the next slide, you can see Terry's buys. If you can. So yeah.
So he's been accumulating for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and so you can see his big buys here. Obviously, he's bought in the top here. But Terry
he bought some over $400.
Yeah. So, and he was purchasing in the last quarter, 9,000 shares. So he's just DCA in at the moment, but he does sell a fair bit occasionally. You can see he's just a constant buy of it. And if it gets down to those 2020 levels, around that $200 mark, crikey, and it could hit there. People get a bit worried about the debt. It's all long service debt, so it's not anything to really worry about. But if you can hold through a little bit of pain here, it's got the legs to go. So yeah, it's only a 4% position of his portfolio, so that's not huge, but he obviously loves it. So you don't keep buying it and selling it this much if you don't understand it and love it. So.
Oh no. Well, always good to see what Terry's up to.
Yep. He's getting a bit of a caning here at the moment, as you can see. So, but everything he buys, it seems to be magic. He seems like this high multiple type stuff. You think he's going to get nailed here somewhere along the line, and he does occasionally. But he seems to, the quality thing, he seems to be able to pick them. The ones that really hold through, that go through a bit of a rough patch. And I've ignored it, how many times now? And the 30% ones, and they keep, just an easy 30%. They just jump back up. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. It's a good find. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Tim's bought you yet another stock to have a look at. Waters Corp. And anything else to add there, Tim, or should we wrap her up?
Yep,
wrap it up.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we will catch you next time. Bye for now.